Welcome back to another video. My name is Henrik and today we're going to be looking at the Suzuki Across. You might be thinking, wait, Henrik, this is not a Suzuki Across, this is your Toyota RAV4. Well, it's not. Toyota and Suzuki in 2019 started a cooperation to basically work on some cars together. Suzuki is going to help make Toyota some cheaper cars and Toyota is going to help Suzuki electrify their lineup. And that is why this thing looks exactly like the Toyota RAV4. It has almost the same plug-in hybrid system in there, it has the same technology in there, and the whole car basically looks the exact same. Interior is one-to-one the same, but we're still going to look at it. For instance, you can see some different style on the front, for instance the lights, this light bar. Oh wow, it's a Suzuki logo. Who would have thought? You can just replace that and you have a Toyota. And also down here this looks a little bit different. The engine in here is also, if we open it up real quick, first of all, again, I'm also sorry about the weather because it's that time of year where it's fairly windy, it's fairly dirty, it's not the nicest temperature outside, and it's starting to rain a little bit. That's why also the lens is a little bit dirty. But in here we have a 2.5 liter four-cylinder engine which produces 186 horsepower with a total system Newton meter and also horsepower of 306 and 227 Newton meters. With a Vmax of 180, and you can also get 0 to 100 in around 6 seconds, and we're going to see if that's actually possible. And also the car starts around 58,160 or 90 euros, which is 1,600 euros cheaper than the RAV4, which is interesting. So for our 0 to 100 test, we can go into the sporty setting for our transmission, and we also have this nice little gear here where we can press on it or we can switch it to the right, and it's going to show us a little bit of a different display, and it's going to put us into sport mode. Definitely one thing you got to listen to now when we're doing the 0 to 100 test is the gear. So definitely listen to how the transmission sounds. A little bit of wheel spin, definitely a lot more power. 6.91 seconds, not bad for winter tests. 6 seconds is claimed, so definitely not a bad value. Definitely a little bit of wheel spin there, but 6 seconds. 6 seconds? There we go. Is claimed. One thing you definitely, if you listen to the gear now, you can see we don't really have any gears in here, so we don't have any shifts up or shifts down. That's because we have a CVT transmission in here, so we have a gearless transmission, which is obviously going to be a little bit nicer because you have a little bit of a different system here. That's going to allow you to have smooth power all the way through. But those are also not as well durable as normal transmissions, but they're also going to lower your consumption a little bit. Well, if we look at our consumption, don't exactly know if that's true. But yeah, that's one thing you definitely can listen to. It definitely sounds a little bit different than, for instance, the Mitsubishi Eclipse Cross plug-in hybrid that we had. So a little bit different because that only had one gear, so this does have a little bit of a different sound, but also it seems like a CVT system in here, it makes the cabin really loud, especially if you're going a little bit faster, because it's always at a fairly high RPM. So let's quickly also do an overview of the design, because again it's similar to the RAV4. For instance, we have lights in here which are going to be full LED apart from our blinkers, so those are not going to be a full LED, and down here you can see also another full LED set of lights down there. We have the strip going through with the Suzuki logo interrupted in the middle, and also the bigger bonnet in here. Half design when it comes to the air intakes. Down here is closed and up here is opened, and then a nice little like fake chrome touch down there, which doesn't look bad, but it doesn't also look too great. It's not supposed to be a sports car, so it doesn't have to look that dynamic. And if we move over onto the side, we can see our 19-inch winter tires on here, which don't actually look that bad. They look pretty nice, I like them. We're also going to do a brake test here in a second once we're finished with the design, so we're going to see how good that is. It's winter time, so the value's not going to be the greatest. We can see black touches around here just to get some accents in there. Foldable side mirrors and also blacked out rear windows with this chrome touch on the top, but not on the bottom, which I don't see often. So you have a top bar which is chrome, but the bottom is black. And then again up here, which we already talked about, stuff like that. When it comes to the back, there is basically no difference. It looks exactly like the RAV4, so if you just remove this Suzuki and put a RAV4 down there and also put a Toyota logo on the back, it'd be the exact same car. Dual exhaust down on the bottom, which are again same as in the RAV4. And also the back doesn't look bad, but it's a fairly bulky car, so it's going to be fairly maneuverable and also fairly hard to get an overview once you're driving in the city. So it's definitely not the best city car. So the braking distance is supposed to be fairly bad. If we looked at some online reviews of some other German not manufacturers, but like reporters, and they claimed the braking distance on here is fairly bad. So let's see what it does from 100 down to 0 in winter condition, winter tires, and also a fairly wintry road. Let's get up to 100. it just sounds horrible. Like, that sound is just, I don't know what that sound is, but it is so bad. I've never heard that before. 46 meters, you had 41, but what is that sound? I don't know what that sound is. I don't know if that's normal, if that's something that might be wrong with the car, if it's something to do with the CVT transmission. I have no idea. If it's the brakes, I honestly don't know. If you know anything about it, please let me know in the comments, because I've never heard any car make those sounds before. But yeah, we got 46 meters, so not the best value, but compared to what values claimed for summer condition, that's actually a fairly decent value. He had 41 meters, so you can actually get it down fairly good. So let's also talk about the practicality of the car. So the car is 4 meters and 63 long. It's going to be 1 meter and 89 wide and also 1 meter and 69 tall with a 19 centimeter ground clearance. And that is going to make the car fairly big, but not too big. But we're going to look at it how practical it is in the city. Let's also look at the trunk for a second. So let's open the trunk, and while we're doing that, because this thing takes a long time, we can tow 1.5 tons. We also have a roof capacity of 80 kilograms, and we can also put our on our towing hitch 70 kilograms of load on there, so you can put some e-bikes on there or something you want. So 490 liters up to 1,604 liters, which is fairly big. You also get a 150 watt charger on the side there, which is pretty nice, and in general fairly good amount of space. I would have liked if they maybe put something in here so you can have like a divider in there, and under here you can, for instance, put another cable in the between where you get your tire set. That's also different compared to the RAV4. In the RAV4 you only get a tire kit. In here you get a complete tire in here, which is fairly nice to have as well. So let's look at the practicality while we're driving. And look at that. Now we have a wonderful snow here. Totally still the same day, as you can see. It just looks amazing. It's finally starting to snow here and just looks wonderful. Just talking about the other clip, I was saying how dirty it is, how stupid the weather is, it's not snowing, and now look at this wonderful thing, and look at those puddles, wonderful puddles. So let's talk a little bit about while driving the car here. The car is obviously a fairly big car, and we're going to drive into the city here just so I can show you exactly what I mean. I did already tell you the masses of the car, or the width and dimensions of the car, and the car is definitely something that you wouldn't want to drive in particular every day in the city. If you, for instance, drive in America, this thing would be a fairly small car when you're driving in cities, because you just got those big roads. But if you're driving, for instance, in Europe, this car is definitely not something you want to be driving in the city, because you're not going to be able to find a parking spot fairly easily. The car feels fairly big trying to park, because it is fairly big when trying to park. The surrounding view is also not the greatest. You do have a pretty big rear window. The camera in here is also okay. Like, the quality is actually not bad. At night it's also fairly decent when you're looking at the rear view camera. And the side mirrors are also, they give you a good amount of view, but otherwise you have some pretty big pillars there. And obviously, because the car is fairly high, you can't really see that much when you're looking down onto the side, so it's not going to be the best when trying to park. You also don't have like parking assist, like automatic parking, but you do have beepers in the front and in the back, so that is going to help you a little bit, but you don't have a front camera, which is a little bit unfortunate. And on top of that, the other assistant features that we do have is adaptive cruise control. We have a limiter, we have lane assist. It's not lane centralization, so it's just going to be lane assist, so it's going to move to the side. We do also have blind spot assistance and also sign detection, or speed sign detection, so it's going to show you how fast you need to go. So a good amount of safety features, but for instance, not a heads-up display would have been a little bit nicer, because you're already paying a fairly hefty price for the car. But you can't really change any options in here, so everything that you get in here is basically what you see in here is always how it's going to be. You can only change the color of the car. But the other thing that's obviously good with the car, because you got a big boot in the back, that's obviously going to allow you to do some big grocery shoppings. But you can see right here, the car is going to be, well, it just feels very big when driving here. Especially when the roads here are getting a little bit smaller. So it's supposed to be a 2-lane road, because there is cars parked on the other side. So you can't really drive through here too easily when another car is coming. And with this big car, it feels so glumpy, or how do you say that? It feels so glumpy? No, not glumpy. It feels so preposterous driving through here. That's a wonderful word. But I like the way you're sitting like way up higher, because it's obviously an SUV. It just, you get an overview of the road way easier, and it just makes it feel a little bit nicer. Suspension here is also fairly decent. It gives you a little bit of a vibe of an SUV. It doesn't move you around too much, but it does give you a little bit more comfortable driving experience when driving over a little bit bumps here. But especially when turning here, for instance, the turning radius of the car is also 12 meters, which makes it very high and not very maneuverable. And with its length, it's also not going to allow you to obviously do a good job when trying to turn onto a corner, or trying to park. For instance, let's try to... There's like a tree stump on there, I'm not going to park in there. But it just makes it very hard to find a parking spot. And to show you the rear view camera, here it is. It is obviously going to be, because it's fairly low, it's going to pick up some moisture down there as well. And you can change, for instance, the right view. Oh wow, that's a cool truck. And you can... Okay, that's a very confusing line, I gotta say. When it comes to the fuel consumption, in here we have a tank volume of 55 liters. If you're only using the combustion engine on the car while driving, that's going to be a combined WLTP of around 6.6 liters. Ooh, look at that, look at that, look at that. Ooh. Oh, the wonderful SL. So we're going to move over onto the other side where we're going to be able to look at the battery. The battery that we have in here is an 18.1 kilowatts an hour battery, which is going to be able to charge at 3.6 kilowatts, which is going to take you around 4.5 hours to completely charge. And that's also going to give you a range of around 75 kilometers. If you've used up the range, or if you want to go into the hybrid system, you're going to be looking at a fuel consumption and energy consumption of 1.2 liters and also 16.6 kilowatts now. The batteries that we have in here, or the electric motors, is going to be in the front 182 horsepower and in the back also 54 horsepower. For, again, if you use everything, 306 combined, which is fairly decent. So 75 kilometers, winter time, that's obviously going to be a little bit less, and 4.5 hours is also not the fastest when it comes to the charging speed. If you look at our history, it's going to show right now 8.7 liters is what we are currently at. We are also driving in hybrid mode with a range left of around 12 kilometers in the EV mode. And you can see the other one was around 11 liters, so right around there. So actually fairly high, but if you're driving a little bit more, well, we've been driving fairly sporty and a little bit unlike how you should be driving in plug-in hybrid, you can definitely get it down, as you said, 6.6 liters in the city, which you did get. So I'd say around 6.6 to like 8-9 liters, that's what you're going to be looking at when driving this car. Let's also take a look at the interior of the car here. You obviously see, well, if you've driven a RAV4 before, you know this thing looks exactly the same. You have Apple CarPlay and Android Auto wirelessly, which is nice. That works fairly decent. And the sound system here is actually also fairly decent, which sounds fairly decent, so it's fairly decent. Decent. We also have our gearbox in here, which we did already talk about. You can also put that into S. We have the auto hold, which you have to press every time you start the car, which is a little bit unfortunate. If you like auto hold, you're always going to have to remember to press that. You do have the parking brake in there, an electrical parking brake. Otherwise, you have a fairly good amount of stuff where you can put something. For instance, down here you have some storage space in there. You have some storage space in here. We don't have inductive loading in here, and only one USB and also a 12-volt charging port in there, so you can light your cigarette. Also some more storage space in there, and also the glove compartment if you want to open that up real quick. There you go. It's actually a fairly small one for the car. And the other thing that we have is obviously the seats, which actually feel fairly nice. We do have heated seats in here as well. The seats are fairly comfortable. The headrest is also not that hard, which I like. And they have adjustable, electrically adjustable on the driver's side, but not on the passenger side. You do have the infotainment display, which is in, well, you have like a pretty nice layout of it, and you can actually change a good amount of layouts. You can do this while standing still, and you can go in here, and then you can change, for instance, the way it looks by, for instance, having this. You can have widgets on there as well, which is pretty cool. That's going to show you the music you're playing, for instance. And you can also have this in here, and you can also, I like this one the most, but another thing that you can do is you can actually change the style of it. So you can put it into casual, robust, or also the sporty variant, which looks pretty cool. But I do like the Intelligent the most. And the other thing that you can obviously do is if you change into different modes, which is also a pretty cool button, you can go in here, for instance, can change the layout of it a little bit, which I really like. And then you press it for normal eco, normal, sport, and also trail mode. When it comes to the space in the back, you have a good amount of space in there, a good amount of legroom, headroom, and also you have heated seats in there, which is nice. And in general, seating quality in the back is also not bad. So if you look at some competitors, for instance, we have a Volvo XC60, which is going to be more luxurious, but not almost the same car. BMW X3, we also have, for instance, the RAV4, which actually costs you more, which is pretty interesting because it's basically the same car. But you do actually get a fairly good car when it comes to, for instance, towing capability of a 1.5 ton. That's fairly good for a plug-in hybrid. You get a fairly big engine here as well. The car is very spacious. You get a lot of standard equipment on the car, but it is going to be fairly expensive. 56,000 or 58,190 euros for this car is already going to be a fairly hefty price. Obviously, if you live in the States, it's going to be obviously a little bit cheaper because Germany just is fairly expensive when it comes to cars. But the car, in my opinion, is actually not a bad car if you're looking for a family car that's capable of also some electrical range. So hopefully you guys did enjoy the video. We'll see you next time, and bye-bye.